This episode of Tech News Weekly is brought to you by Braintree Payments. Mobile app development can be complex, but integrating your payments no longer has to be. With Braintree, your business can accept nearly every type of payment from any device with just one integration. Learn more, go to braintreepayments.com/TNW. And by Stay Roasted, the ultimate fresh roasted coffee subscription. Get your first bag of coffee for free. You only pay the shipping when you visit stayroasted.com/GFQ. That's stayroasted.com/GFQ.
Starting Tech News Weekly in 3, 2, 1.
Everybody, welcome to Tech News Weekly. I'm your host, Andrew Zarian, and today is a very special episode. It is the last Tech News Weekly of 2016. With me, as always, is Suncast. How you doing, John?
I'm doing good. I can hear that you're still not quite recovered from the other week.
Oh, I am not quite recovered from the last couple days.
From the debauchery?
You know what's funny? My voice is, I feel it. I feel something happening. I get the holiday sickness every single year, and I really, really attribute it to the stress of the holiday season. It is extremely stressful, but you know who's not stressful?
Why don't you just go on vacation this time of year?
Maybe I should. Maybe I should just get the hell out of here. You know what is not stressful? Having Chris from Gonna Geek on.
Hey, happy to be here. I'm actually on vacation for the next 2 weeks because I had use or lose vacation, so I'm just bumming around.
Do you hate taking them like that? Do you like, or does your employer not like it when you do that?
Well, I didn't really have much choice because the way our stuff works is we get it as a lump sum on January 1, and you have to use it all by December 31. So really, I had no choice because I didn't do much besides go to a comic book convention this year. Perfect. So I only burned like 2 days of leave.
You know what? That sounds like a great time. I went away a bunch of times this year. I was in California a couple times. I was in Jamaica. I stayed in the city a couple days. So it is not a vacation that I want to go on at this point. I just want to, you know what I would love to do? I would love to just disconnect and just curl up in a ball and not talk to anybody for a couple of weeks. And then just resurface.
You can do that.
Just resurface.
Does that mean the show's over now?
The show's over. All right, guys, we'll see you all later. Guys, we do have a lot to talk about, obviously. It's the end of the year, and we're going to go down our big stories of 2016. But before we do that, let's take a moment and talk about our sponsor, and that's Stay Roasted. StayRoasted.com/GFQ. Get your first bag of coffee for free. You only pay the shipping when you visit StayRoasted.com/GFQ. I absolutely love these guys. And for most of us, I told the story a couple of weeks ago about how when I grew up, my mother only bought instant coffee. And I swear to you, that is what I really thought coffee tasted like until I experienced a higher quality bean, a higher quality coffee. And for most of us at this point, we've experienced such good coffee. Top quality coffee isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. Nobody wants to go buy some cheapo brand and just essentially drink mud. By the way, right now I'm drinking a Stay Roasted from my Stay Roasted subscription. This is why I love Stay Roasted. They deliver 100% specialty grade coffee beans, hand-selected for your taste and delivered fresh. It's simple. All you do, you set up some basic preferences that you have for coffee, whether you like a dark roast, medium roast, whatever it is, and it shows up at your door on schedule. Right now, I'm waiting for one to show up today. I'm getting 2 bags of coffee today. That's right. It's your roasters. You pick the ones that you want. Stay Roasted lets you pick from a dozen of America's top crafted coffee roasters, and you add your personal touch by making it yours. This is great. Only 60 cents. It starts at only 60 cents per brewing cup. I went down to one of these chain fancy schmancy coffee places the other day, and I paid probably $4.50, almost $5 for a cup of coffee, which is obscene when you think about what kind of beans they're using. I guarantee they're not better than what these guys are using and what you get delivered to your house. Try it yourself. Visit StayRoasted.com/GFQ. Get your first bag of coffee for free. You only pay the shipping, and any additional bag is 15% off. I want to thank Stay Roasted for supporting the GFQ network, and of course for supporting Tech News Weekly. I'm a big coffee guy. Love coffee. Love these guys. So this year was a very interesting year. A lot happened in technology. Where would you like to begin, Suncast?
I don't know. Where would you like to begin?
Let's start off with Apple.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So we had quite a lot of interesting stuff from Apple this year.
Yeah.
We've had a 9.7-inch iPad Pro.
This was
From-
the successor to the Mac, the Airline, right? The iPad Airline.
It's basically just a larger iPad.
Okay.
We had iOS 10,
Yeah.
Mac OS updates, which they renamed from
OS X, OS
OS
10.
X or OS 10 because people hate it when I say OS X. So screw you guys. Watch OS, we had a nice update to that, which is pretty cool. It's now basically what it is that it should have been from the beginning, but you know how first generations are.
Yeah.
MacBook Pro 2016 with Touch Bar came
The
out.
Touch Bar, the long-awaited MacBook Pro re-release, the redesign, yeah. That now everybody hates.
Yes.
Yeah.
iPhone 7 and 7 Plus came out with basically every rumor that we had heard from the beginning of January.
Yeah.
And this is funny because I actually looked back through my notes for Tech News Weekly all the way back to January, and there was a lot of stuff back in January that was correct already.
In January.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was an interesting year for Apple. And Chris, I want to get your take on this because I think that this was the first year that Apple exposed themselves as just a regular company. You know, this allure, this magic Wizard of Oz, like, you know, man behind the curtain thing about Apple kind of faded because other manufacturers are producing amazing products and amazing type of phones and laptops where the competition is kind of gotten equal in that sense, and Apple is not really doing anything that special. What did you think of Apple's year this year?
I think what you said is fair. I think at the same time, they're also just kind of treading water a little bit. Nothing was really cutting edge with the iPhone 7, for instance. A lot of people are thinking, wait for iPhone 8 next year because that's the 10-year anniversary of the iPhone coming out. That's when the great stuff's going to come out. And they kind of showed they're not caring as much about the laptop and desktop market. We still haven't gotten an update to the Mac Pro. And it's, what, 4 years old now?
Yeah, my God.
That's one. Yeah, a lot of people have been clamoring for that. And we got nothing on that front, and it seemed like incremental upgrades. The iPad Pro, all it is a beefier iPad. Okay, who really cares? I can do everything I want on my iPad Air right now. And the Touch Bar in the MacBook Airs, or excuse me, the MacBook Pros, it's interesting, but it's not what people are asking for. People seem to be asking for the touch screen in a laptop, not necessarily a touch bar.
Yeah, Apple's been adamant as far as not putting a touchscreen on their laptops. And what was interesting is that during that Mac release, right, the MacBook Pro 2016 announcement, they said that they had been working on it for a number of years now, about 2 to 3 years. Software and hardware engineering was working on a touchscreen MacBook, and they said it just didn't work. It didn't work the way that they wanted to on Mac OS.
Well, that's true. It's probably not the most touch-friendly of OSs. Say what you want about Windows 10.
Yeah.
They've made it fairly friendly for touch-based work. I mean, I have a Surface Pro 4 that I mess around with, and Windows 10 runs really nice on it. You can either use your keyboard and mouse or just touch the screen, and it does what you want. So that could be more of a problem of just OS X or OS 10 or whatever you want to call it isn't quite ready for touch optimization, because if you look at it, it hasn't changed much in years.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have to tell you, I had to buy a MacBook this year, and I have to tell you, I bought the 2015, obviously, whatever was right before this, and I am not kicking myself in the butt for the first time with making a purchase like this because I really don't have much interest in the new MacBook Pro. I feel like I was okay with the decision I made of buying this. But John, here's the thing. I mean, you had your entire meltdown over the headphone jack, and so did a lot of people.
Yeah,
rightfully
on the iPhone
so.
7, you mean.
For the iPhone 7, rightfully so. I'm still waiting to find out if this impacted sales at all for them, because now we're getting a glimpse into 2017, and every phone manufacturer is going to start removing the headphone jack and adding, a USB Type-C or whatever proprietary adapter they're going to be using.
I don't necessarily think that the problem isn't that they're removing the headphone jack. It's that they're removing it
And not adding what you want.
and not adding another section for it, because what it is for, at least for me and a lot of other people, is the fact that, okay, well, you remove this jack, but then you only leave that one port for charging and for audio now.
Yeah. I
But
think
if
they
you
should
need
have
to
had
charge your phone and have headphones plugged in at the same time, you have to buy an adapter.
that. Yeah. Very interesting.
And I
Very
don't understand why they couldn't just add a second USB Type-C port.
Yeah, they're not going to add a second port. They're taking away ports, John. They're not going to add more. I'm surprised that we have a port.
I mean, that's really the crux of the matter here with people that are upset about the headphone jack being removed. It's not necessarily the fact that, because there are adapters, and sticking an adapter on a 3.5 millimeter plug to a lightning thing, that's not such a big deal. But if you wanted to plug in both your headphones with, a charging cable, well then, it becomes a little cumbersome, because, all right, let's think. All right, so you're going to have an adapter already on your headphones to lightning. Then you have another adapter just so that you can plug two lightning accessories in at the same time, so you can charge it and plug your headphones in at the same time. So then you have to use two adapters just to do that.
Just to do that, yeah. I'm curious to see where the trend goes. Chris, where do you see it going with this year?
For the dongles?
Yeah. Do you think it's going to, the rumors are Samsung's going to follow, HTC's going to follow, LG's going to follow. You think this is it for the 3.5 millimeter jack this year?
I think you'll start to see it go away on a lot of the flagship phones because, like it or not, Apple's the trendsetter on a lot of these things. And there's already the rumors the Galaxy S8's not going to have a headphone jack, because if people can get used to it at Apple, they'll get used to an Android. All of your mid and low level Android phones, stuff like that, those will still be around because they're already in their dirt cheap plans for it. So I think you've seen the beginning of the end of the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack for phones, but strangely not for Apple's laptops.
They did not remove it. No, they did not remove it. But you know what they did do? They removed the second one. Remember that? It had two at one point. It had mic. It had headphones, and it had mic in or line in. And now it's just one. It's just one. They're slowly taking that away from us also.
It's a gradual weaning process.
Yeah,
that's all.
I had a very good joke, but it's not appropriate for the show.
Those are the best kind.
I know. I got to censor myself.
The other problem with having no headphone jack is the fact that there honestly aren't that many choices out there right now for headphones that are compatible with USB Type-C.
Interesting. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, you look at the majority of headphones that are out there now, and what is compatible with USB Type-C out of the box without having to use an adapter.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that has a USB
There's a
Type-C
handful.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that actually possesses one or owns one.
Right.
Why would you?
I mean, I'm not to say that in the future there aren't going to be a lot more.
Yeah.
But as it stands now, it almost feels as though they're making this prematurely, this decision to remove the headphone jack without thinking through the solutions all the way.
Yeah.
That's how it feels anyway. I'm not saying that in future we're not going to have no need for a headphone jack because everything's going to be this new standard. But at the same time, this transition is not easy.
Yeah. That was Apple's year. And I'm sure we're going to have a lot more of these stories this year with the iPhone 8, the rumored iPhone 8 that everybody's waiting for. This is going to be it, guys. This thing is going to shoot lasers, right? Am I right or wrong on that? It's going to have laser capability. It's going to be able to...
It's going to have holograms.
It's going to have holograms. It hovers.
It's just like Tony Stark's phone. It projects holographic images. You can reach out and touch and spin them around, things like that.
Yep, I can't wait for that one. Guys, we do have a lot more to talk about. I want to talk about Microsoft, but before we do, let's take a moment to talk about Braintree. Simple, secure payments and code you could integrate very quickly. Learn more at BraintreePayments.com/TNW. Whether you are a web developer or a business owner, you know how important your time is to you. Maybe you're working on being the next Uber, Airbnb, GitHub, Hotel Tonight, Living Social. Why not use the simple payment solution that helped all these companies become what they are today? Braintree makes mobile payments super easy, super fast, and seamless. It's almost magical. Add it to your code, add it to your app. It's just a few lines of code, and you're instantly ready to accept every major payment method, such as Apple Pay, Android Pay, PayPal, every major credit card, and even Bitcoin. And when the next major thing shows up, the next major payment method shows up, guess what? Integrated super easily. Braintree's fast payouts and continuous support means you'll be ready whether you are earning your first dollar or your billionth dollar, which we hope all of you guys are making your billionth dollar this year. To learn more about Braintree and their amazing full stack payment solution, go to BraintreePayments.com/TNW. That's BraintreePayments.com/TNW. They are an amazing company, and I know many of you guys have integrated Braintree in your payments. I know that Stay Roasted, one of my advertisers, uses Braintree as their mobile payment solution. So this is great. I absolutely love these guys. BraintreePayments.com/TNW. Let's talk about Microsoft, boys. Man.
Let's do it.
Microsoft revamped Windows 10 with a very pushy version of Windows 10. A very pushy. After getting hit with a $10,000 settlement and accusations of shady Windows 10 upgrade notifications, Microsoft had to change the way that they were doing this update. I'm one of these people that one day woke up and I had Windows 10 on a machine that I barely used. Now,
I had that happen as well.
Mary Jo Foley, all about Microsoft, ZDNet. She's not someone that clicks on things, and she writes about the product, and she experienced this firsthand, and so did I within the same week. We were sitting there and having this conversation about this, and we both realized that we had Windows automatically update one morning when we came down. Now, I had not set to do an auto update on Windows. I had not clicked on do the Windows 10 update. It just did it all on its own. And it was it was a huge problem for a lot of people. Luckily for me,
much like how Windows 10 does updates now.
Oh, I don't want to get started on the Windows 10 update.
Oh, man, that's been hellacious, the auto updates.
I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you tomorrow on What the
So
Tech.
really, nothing has changed.
Nothing really has changed. Well, tomorrow on What the Tech, we're doing the worst stuff, 2016. We did the best stuff, and Windows 10 was on the best stuff for me because I do think that it's
so
a
you're
great
going to
operating
end up
system.
doing an hour on the worst of Windows 10, basically.
I'm going to dedicate a lot of time on this because I had, you know what? Windows 10 was fine. Okay, didn't have a problem. Went to anniversary on all my machines here. No problem at all. It was okay. It was fine. I actually still have a machine that I cannot put Windows 10 on, which is a whole different issue. But
Thank God.
I had delayed doing the update to anniversary on my main production machine here. And I thought to myself, well, this is a good time to do this. You know, it's been out for a while and it's stable and the drivers say it works. Okay. If it works with Windows 10, it should work with anniversary. That's the thing. I do a clean install, and oh my God, the nightmare that I entailed with this update of Windows 10 anniversary, because it handles driver signatures very differently, and because of security reasons. But in order to get past this, because some manufacturers did not update the drivers the way that Microsoft wanted it to be updated, apparently they're sawing something right next to me. I don't know where that came from. Some drivers are handled very differently, and the only way to do that, allow these drivers from functioning, is by disabling secure boot.
Yeah, that sounds safe.
Very safe. So I lived with this, and it's just now, so how many months later, just now, drivers are being released that kind of fix this. But I'll tell you another problem. I have a lot of issues with my AMD drivers for my video cards since going to Windows 10 anniversary. Things that I did not have before. So
you're too early of an adopter, Andrew.
I guess so. I waited, but here's the problem with this, and here's my
issue. You got to wait at least 3 years, before you can adopt the next generation of operating system when it comes to this stuff.
So here's my problem. I want to decide what drivers work for me. Okay. Sometimes the manufacturer, not necessarily Microsoft's fault at all, releases a driver that has a glitch. It doesn't perform well. It doesn't work with a certain software, certain video production. It happens all the time. But we have always had the ability to say, I don't want to install this driver. I want to revert back. Well, with Windows 10, I've fallen into this endless process, and it was such a pain in the butt to be able to turn this off. I was able to turn it off, but it was a pain, where not only does it do security and critical updates, it also does driver updates for you if it sees that you have an older driver. So you have to technically confuse Windows into thinking it installed that driver and you're okay. So you have to go to Device Manager, delete it, reinstall it, put another one. It was a whole song and dance because it just kept automatically updating every time I would put in an older version of the driver. With that said, I absolutely love Windows 10. Chris, how's your experience been?
So once you get past the headaches of making Windows 10 work for you and get it so that it's working properly, it's actually
Then
a
you
pretty
have to
decent
worry about
experience.
it breaking.
Yeah, well, that is
Yeah.
the problem. Like John just mentioned, you do have to worry about it breaking because don't forget, Microsoft bricked pretty much all the Logitech
Yeah.
C920 webcams for about 3 months,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're kind of snotty about it in their product support forum when
Oh,
everyone
that was
on
the
there and
best.
said,
It's not. It's the manufacturers need to get up on the times, pretty much.
right, and then Logitech was like, it's not our fault. You literally yanked out an essential library that we use to make our camera work. We can't do anything about this.
Yeah, and they didn't tell anybody that they made this change.
Right. So the guy comes and posts in there a week later after just getting beat up. He goes, "Oh, I see where we screwed up. We're going to try and rush in a hot fix." And they partially fixed it. And it took like 3 months to get the full fix out there so that if you used a webcam that would go over 480p that was a Logitech, it would actually work because
Yeah.
they tried to make you do what they deemed a more efficient way to make things work.
So, and we experienced this problem with Paul for a long time.
Right?
We were having this because he was on anniversary, but we never realized that this might be it. That Microsoft yanked whatever it was that was allowing these cameras to work properly.
Yeah, again, because Microsoft didn't tell anybody that they made this change.
Exactly.
Right. And then it just got snuck in there with an update. And luckily, people on the internet are resourceful and found ways to go and do registry edits and things like that to sort of get things to work again. But that's really a big problem. If you're going to change something that fundamentally breaks what is arguably one of the most popular webcams out there, being the Logitech C920, because almost everyone's using it for streaming or podcasting or just as a simple camera to throw on their computer because it's been everywhere. If it doesn't work, that's a problem. That's the thing. When they do these changes that don't work, it's really terrible, but sometimes they nail it with some of these things. I said earlier, I love my Surface Pro 4. They finally got everything ironed out properly so that Windows 10 works great on there. It's snappy, it's streamlined, it's smooth. They just need to be better about reaching out to their community and be like, here's the change that's coming. Be prepared so that something doesn't happen in the day before a podcast. You're going, why is my computer not working
Why
magically?
doesn't this not work? Yeah. Terrible. So they also had a couple hardware releases, right?
Hold
We
on
had-
a minute.
yeah,
I want to touch
yeah.
on this.
Go ahead.
though,
Go ahead.
Because this is something that is
Touch
very
all you want.
aggravating to me, and something that I've noticed is more of a pattern with Microsoft lately. Are these updates that break things? And just most recently, Microsoft issued an update that sort of broke the internet connection for a lot of people with one of the latest updates.
So what happened?
And it took them a couple weeks to fix this.
Yeah, what was it exactly? What did they do?
It was basically something where it broke the DHCP for the internet connection, so that when it applied the update, it lost the internet connection, and then they said, "Oh, we'll just reboot." But that didn't necessarily fix it for every single person. So there was a lot of people that did not have internet because of this update. And not only that, but Microsoft has been a lot more secretive in regards to these updates and the way that they're doing these updates, whereas they're not really giving information about what these updates contain and what they do.
Yeah.
So, for example, you can actually look at the update history page for a specific update. However, Microsoft doesn't always publish the information for that page before that update goes live. So if you see an update and you want to know more information about that update, well, that information page may not necessarily be there with the information that you need. And so it's just like, okay, come on, Microsoft.
Yeah.
We got to have the ability to know what's in these updates, not just, oh, this is a driver roll-up, and
Listen, but
that's all
that's
we
the
have
trend
for
everybody's
this information.
going,
Or
though,
just,
John. That's the
this
trend
is an update
everybody's
for
taking.
security purposes, and that's all you ever know about it. Well, what exactly does this update entail? What does it change? What if it's going to mess with the driver that I have on my system that I need to have, like you do, need this specific version for this specific reason? And you don't get that information
It's
anymore.
a trend that everybody, all these software giants and almost every software manufacturer right now is going down this way where less information is being released. You know, I have certain mission critical drivers that I use, and sometimes I look at the latest version of the driver to see what updates, what bug fixes were implemented, and it's so hard to figure out exactly what they did because they don't list it anymore.
Yeah, so between something like that, with not having the information from Microsoft about these updates, and the fact that they're pushing these updates, and the fact that a lot of times, more often than not now, or at least half the time now, it seems like these updates break things.
Yeah.
It's very difficult for me to go ahead and say you should use Windows 10. Windows 10 is a nice operating system. It's these updates and the way that Microsoft is applying these updates that really, really turn me off to using Windows 10.
Yeah.
And the real kicker is most people are stuck with getting updates because unless you have Windows 10 Pro, you can't defer these updates. You're basically just forced to take them whenever Microsoft sends
even
them.
if
Oh
you
my
know,
God! Can I tell you about that? And how
Yeah.
many times I've had issues actually producing a podcast here on GFQ, and the fact that it says, "Hey, updates are installing. We're going to reboot this machine."
Well, you know what I get? I get do you want to reboot, shut down and reboot, or do you want to restart and reboot? I go, how about I do neither? No, you got to pick one.
Yeah,
It's
and it's
terrible.
so awful. The most you can do on these lower versions of Windows is set active hours, which doesn't necessarily always work. And active hours can only be set for a 12-hour window. So here at GFQ, we do shows at all different times,
Yeah.
and all those shows don't necessarily fall into a 12-hour window.
Yeah. It's the struggle's real for us, I guess. For most,
I mean,
most
it's
people
just
don't
it's
care.
very frustrating, and that's my issue with Windows 10. It's the way that Microsoft is
Handling
pushy
it.
about these updates and not giving very much information, and breaks things a lot more often these days.
Yeah. I mean, they did do a couple things right, I'll tell you. Their hardware line looks beautiful. That Surface Studio, which Microsoft says that
Oh, it's
selling
beautiful.
well. It is a beautiful, beautiful machine. Very expensive, starting at $3,000. But you know, people justify it with different ways. If you need certain type of features where you could use the dial and you could use the tablet, yeah, you could kind of figure out that it's not as expensive. But if you are an everyday Joe Schmo, this is not the machine for you. This is an industry device, and I tell you, it's beautiful. I think it looks great. Chris, you like it?
I do. I don't think it's meant to be something that appeals to the general user, though. Like you said, it's meant to appeal to I'm an artist, or I do something that requires me to need to have a 27-inch touchscreen that I can design and draw things on. So from that perspective, I can sit there and drool, but I know it does not at all fit what I would need
It's
to
not
do
for us,
because
yeah.
the specs inside, it's basically a high-powered laptop with a giant screen is what it comes down
Sure.
to. It's gorgeous, and it works as a proof of concept, and it's a shot fired across Apple's bow, basically.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is. Very, very nice. They also revamped the Surface Book. There was a revamp to the Surface Book for Surface Book 2. Nothing crazy. They didn't really change much. They just, what is it, the video card? It was an updated video card?
They put a better video
Pretty
card in the
much.
base, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that performance base with the upgraded graphics and CPU.
Yeah. So that was that story.
This whole Surface Studio thing is just, you're paying that money for the screen. Is what you're doing.
You are, but you know what though? If you are a artist, if you are an illustrator, if you work in that field, you're doing some sort of CAD stuff, this is a good device for you. Now, I can't justify spending that because I don't do that stuff. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't appeal to me. It's a very small group of people. But I think people need to. People are still struggling with that. Where
I think you could almost build your own for better.
yeah. So the big story this year, there were two huge stories this year. Okay, let's go in order. Pokemon Go released July 6th. 21 million daily active users on more phones than Tinder. People are playing Pokemon Go than wanting to get laid. That says something about our culture. It's surpassed the number of daily active users on Twitter. It's the biggest mobile game in history, bigger than Candy Crush Saga and Draw Something. T-Mobile is offering a free year of Pokemon Go data with service. This was the big game of the year. I know somebody here is a big fan. I don't know who that guy is. So, John, you go into this. Talk about this. You love this, huh? You have a lot of fun playing it.
I have a love-hate relationship with it currently.
Okay. But for the most part,
I love playing it, but there's a lot of things that I hate about it, and especially, here's what I hate. I hate Niantic. Niantic does a terrible job of running this game.
Okay.
That's what it is. I love the game. I hate Niantic and the way that they run the game.
Okay. Fair enough. I think this was a humongous. I think this was great for gaming and for the mobile market because it kind of slowed down with these games. Initially when the iPhone came out and Android was really it was starting to heat up. There were new games and really interesting stuff happening all the time, and now people aren't really talking about mobile gaming as much. We like our stupid little click games where you click on something and do something. This actually changed the way we're going to perceive gaming on mobile. Chris, what do you think of this?
So it was an interesting game. I was one of those people that started out playing it a lot, and now it's if I'm out in the world, I'll pull out my phone, I'll turn on Pokemon Go, see if there's anything nearby where I can catch some Pokemon or hit the Pokestops. The craze is still huge for some people, but I would say the people that were just dabbling in it, like myself, were just random dabblers at this point in time. It's been a fun game. I kind of enjoyed when it first started walking around downtown and you would see everyone out hunting Pokemon. It made for a great community experience because you'd start chatting with people. Oh, where's the best place to find this? Where's the best Pokestops? So it's been very fun in that regard. I think we're going to start to see some interesting changes now because we'd mentioned earlier when we talked about Pokemon Go like 5 months ago on this show that the winter was going to be the big thing for us because it's cold out, guys. It's 29 degrees outside right now.
Nobody wants to walk around like that.
Yeah. I'm not going to go walk around and try and catch Pokemon. So that's where they got smart.
No.
I don't know if you'd seen. They signed a deal with Starbucks and all this other stuff. So like almost every Starbucks is a Pokestop now.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
along with Sprint.
Yes, and
as
Sprint
well.
stations. How'd that happen?
Yeah, that is weird that they did that for Sprint. I think
No, there's a lot of people that are still playing this. From my experience, just doing gyms and stuff, just knowing how often gyms turn over, it still seems like there's a lot of people playing this. Like the fact that every day you can go to a gym, take the gym, and then the next day it'll be switched back. From that perspective, it still seems like there's a lot of people out there still playing this game, even though you don't necessarily see them. But yeah, this is the problem that I have with Niantic is the fact that, okay, well, you have this dichotomy where here it's now winter, and in a lot of states, it's very difficult to actually go out and walk.
Yeah,
and play this
listen,
game.
I get it. It's cold, and
And
people
it's more
don't want to do
dangerous
it.
to be out during winter. You can't go walking outside in 25-degree weather for 3 hours to chase Pokemon. You can do that in California in December. Yeah, sure, that's fine, but not here in Michigan.
Yeah, I get it. Listen, I get it.
I'm not
It's
doing that.
freezing.
If there's bad weather, I can't go out and play Pokemon. What am I supposed to do?
Listen, but I'll tell you, it's a huge success, and I do see more games coming in.
Yeah,
this
and honestly,
way,
in a way, what is so great about this is that it's one of the best mixed or augmented reality games out there, in the sense that you can actually have these Pokemon and see them with a virtualized interface, or you can actually turn on your camera and it'll overlay it on your camera screen.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. And the fact that it ties in basically geocaching, where you have to actually go out to these locations in the real world in order to find these Pokemon, which is completely different than most other games.
Oh yeah, it's very well. That's the thing about it. It's very original, and it kind of changed the way that we see gaming. Really, it's I actually I don't play it as much, but I do get the craze, and I do think that it's really important that this game happened to kind of change the way that we perceive. Augmented reality is the future for a lot of these devices. We're gonna get a big 2017 for augmented reality and virtual
Most serious
reality.
players don't use the augmented reality mode.
It doesn't
Just
matter
because it
if
takes
they
up
do.
so much battery
I
and
know,
stuff.
but you know what though? That it's cool for most people to see and be like, "Wow, it's awesome."
It's novel, and the way that they do it is perfect for the way they do it.
Sure.
It's almost like they've done it before. Oh, wait,
Oh, yeah.
they did with
They did.
Ingress.
and nobody cared. And nobody cared. It's amazing.
It's the power of Pokemon.
I know. So the other huge story was the Galaxy Note 7 tragedy. Probably one of the most unsuccessful.
Wait, Chris, you have your soundboard.
I do not have my soundboard plugged in right now. Sorry.
Dang.
So CeeLo Green's phone exploded last week.
I guess.
Did you guys see that? And it's a Samsung Galaxy Note 7.
Well, shouldn't he have turned it back in?
So
Maybe it's Verizon.
maybe it's a
Oh, there you
no,
go.
Verizon did issue saying that they will be turning them off. Verizon
Yeah,
did
for
say
those that aren't familiar, Samsung is pushing an update to all Note 7 devices to brick them essentially. But
Yeah.
Verizon said that, oh, it's the holiday season. We don't want people to get stranded without the use of their phones. So we're not going to push this update until January.
So apparently, CeeLo Green, the video, that cell phone video, is not real.
I questioned that video myself. I'm like, this sounds suspicious.
Yeah. Actually, what you saw today in the clip from a smaller video that we're shooting on a project that he's doing. So it was a whole publicity stunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured as much.
Yeah, I had read
This
that.
whole thing with the Samsung Galaxy Note 7, what a debacle that was. Like, talk about releasing a new flagship device and the fact that it completely backfires on you and you have no idea what you did wrong for several months. And then you try and
Mishandled
fix
across
it,
the
and then
board.
that doesn't work either.
Yeah, well, I think the problem was that they had no idea what was wrong with it until it took them, some serious time.
It took a third-party agency to actually tell them, hey, this is where you went wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean that's really going to be the big story and the big
And
uh-oh.
yeah, it was a combination of factors. It was the design of the phone itself and the design of the battery that caused this issue.
And combine that with wanting to beat Apple to market with the next iPhone. That's part of what did it. Is honestly, they're living on the cutting edge. It was, we need to get this out now, and everything's designed around engineering tolerances, and they pushed past those tolerances in a lot of things. Is what I'd been reading online.
Well, it seems like they I was reading a story where they now they're trying to see if they willingly knew that this could potentially cause a problem.
Oh, I really hope they didn't, because they're screwed then.
That's now the discussion here, where did they have any clue that this could potentially happen? And right now, they haven't said anything, so I don't know where that's going to go. But
their brand is kind of tarnished right now, and I don't know if they can necessarily fully recover.
Oh,
It
they'll
might be
recover
a few
next
years
year.
for them to recover if nothing else happens.
You know where they're tarnished? Because a lot of people actually think it's the Samsung Galaxy S7 that's
S7.
affected as well. They don't know the difference. I said,
Yeah,
this was
that's
terrible.
part of the problem, and it's the fact that, okay, well, what about their future devices? The Samsung Galaxy S8 that's supposed to be coming out next year. Is that going to have this explosion problem?
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, listen, it's the trust in the brand. Microsoft had a terrible issue with the Xbox 360, but the reality was they kind of understood what the problem was, and they were fixing them and sending them. They didn't totally take the entire thing off the market forever. Samsung is taking this entire thing off the market until the next phone, and you know what? They're probably rushing the next one now.
And if
Yeah,
you're Google,
and
you
the
both
fact
love
that-
and
Go ahead,
Chris.
I was gonna say, if you're Google, you both love and hate this. You hate it because people are sometimes just misconstruing it as Android phones are exploding, but you love it because you just dropped your Pixel right after they wrapped the Note 7 line. So if you want another phablet, the cutting edge one, well, that's Google's device right now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, you're right. You're right. That was, I mean, in my opinion, that's the big story of the year.
And
honestly.
you know what it was? It was the fact that this is a story that had longevity, and the fact that it started off and then it lasted several months. Every time we thought this is it, it's over. Samsung's recalled devices. There's not going to be any more problems. This story kept going on and on and on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's terrible for them, and I'm hoping this brings more innovation and safer technology
mean, look,
deployment on their side.
Just to prove the longevity of this point is that Steven on Gonna Geek podcast made this bumper, this Note 7 watch bumper, and he made it with the intention of only ever using this thing once.
And
He
he's used
used
it for how many
the
months?
next 4 or 5 weeks in a row.
And it's not a great bump. It's just a funny bump.
No. And it's the fact that, okay, well, we'll just use this once for a little quick gag, but this story just kept going on and on and on, and it was useful.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, though, about that. I don't think anybody thought that this problem would persistently last this long. And, maybe there were a couple devices were affected. You send it back and you got a new one, you were done. No, this was a a major manufacturing
Yeah,
flaw,
because
design
they
flaw.
recall the device, said, we'll replace the batteries, everything's going to be fine, you're going to get your new devices, they're not going to explode anymore. Oh, they're still exploding.
And they're
Oh,
exploding on
crap.
airplanes.
On
Even
airplanes.
better.
I know, even better on a freaking airplane. I mean, ridiculous. John, before we run out of time, let's go into a couple more stories. Do you have anything?
Yeah, so we had a pretty big, exciting story in space news. SpaceX proved that its reusable rocket can land at sea. This is a pretty cool, amazing piece of video if you've never seen this before. So the folks at SpaceX successfully demonstrated that their Falcon 9 rocket really is capable of blasting off to orbit and then landing back down on a drone ship. The drone ship called Of Course I Still Love You, which is basically just this barge at sea that's completely autonomous. So you have this autonomous barge and this rocket that all basically lands, and it's just, holy crap, we have the technology to actually do this now.
This saves a lot of money.
Yeah, it saves about a third of the cost of actually launching a rocket
Yeah.
when it doesn't explode.
I mean, just another step forward in, space travel and what they're doing at SpaceX. They did have a lot of hiccups.
Yeah,
They did just
it
have an
took them,
explosion too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it took like 5 tries for them to actually get this right and several years to do this. But the fact that they because everybody thought, all right, well, this may not actually be possible, but SpaceX proved that it is possible and it is repeatable. I mean, that first time they did it was just amazing, but the fact that they did it like 2 more times after that,
Yeah.
that they landed this Falcon 9 rocket back on this autonomous barge, and that it was repeatable. This is something that is viable. Yes, rocketry is one of these things that there's always going to be problems with rockets. Rockets is just something that's so difficult to do. You're always going to have problems, as you've seen with SpaceX and several other private companies that are building rockets.
Yeah.
It's something that's not an exact science, and even when you think you have everything right, something can still go wrong.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. I thought it was very interesting that they were. It's amazing. It's a great step forward that they were able
If
to
you've
do
never
this.
seen this video, it's just
I'm watching it as we
it's
speak.
really cool.
Actually.
It's impressive.
It's exciting.
Yeah. I'm watching it as we speak.
I mean, to me, honestly, that's probably one of the most exciting things to actually witness since the landing of Apollo 11 on the moon.
You know what's amazing? How well it lands so gracefully.
It does, but again, this is after several failed attempts.
Absolutely.
It's
What else?
the new space race.
Yeah. What else do we have, Suncast?
So we can talk about the viral videos on YouTube if you want.
Yeah. Go down the list before we wrap it up.
And this is something I don't know that I necessarily care a whole lot about, but YouTube in 2016 was basically all about viral challenges. Collectively, these 10 videos that they list have 550 million views, which is
Wow.
incredible.
Wow.
These are basically 10 of their top videos on YouTube. Number 1, Adele carpool
Adele,
karaoke
yeah.
with James Corden.
Yeah, that
I
was
think
a
that's
big deal.
the guy's name.
The
10
pineapple.
Pineapple Apple 10,
Yeah.
which is an amazing video. I love that
It
video.
really is good.
Number 3, What's Inside a Rattlesnake Rattle. Number 4, Nike Football presents The Switch, featuring Cristiano Ronaldo, Harry Kane, Anthony Marshall, and more, which I've never seen this video in my life. So I don't understand that. Some 12-year-old girl named Grace Vanderwall playing a ukulele on America's Got Talent. Don't quite understand that either. Dude Perfect doing their water bottle flip,
Okay.
which is pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool stuff.
And if you've never seen Dude Perfect, the actual secret behind this is that you only see maybe 0.1% of their actual tries.
Yeah.
Dude Perfect. It's cool when they freaking nail it, but that's after trying it probably 400, 500 times.
500 times.
To get that
Yeah.
shot. Number 7, Channing Tatum and Beyonce's Run the World lip sync battle.
Okay.
I don't understand that, why that's a viral thing.
Okay. Donald
There's
Trump.
a better one
last week's
anyways.
night with John Oliver's and his Donald Trump speech.
Okay.
Casey Neistat in his $21,000 first class
I
airplane
saw that
seat.
video. It was very interesting to see. Really, it was really, really cool.
Yeah, and then Brothers Convenzo, sister of zombie apocalypse.
Oh, that's
which I
the best.
thought-
That's the one that she got her wisdom tooth pulled, right?
Yeah, I thought this was a horrible video.
Oh, did you? Why?
I thought it was incredibly dumb. I cringed all the way through watching this video.
No, I thought it was good. I liked it.
I've only seen like
no.
half of these videos, so I am evidently far removed from the pulse of what is viral.
Oh, that's so
The only
yeah.
one that I really watched is probably Pineapple Apple Pen.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
the
I
only video
remember
I've
that.
actually watched on this list.
No, I've seen pretty much all of them, and you know, it's listen, man, we're getting older, so a lot of this
You're
stuff.
that generation.
Yeah, we're it's not appealing to us as much as it used to.
You know, me and Chris are the old guys of this podcast. You do realize that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very, very interesting.
Not that old yet.
Listen, we're all in our 30s, right? We're all in our 30s.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in my early 30s. Not that old
Yeah.
yet.
Well, that was a great year for tech news. A lot happened this year. It was all exciting, and hopefully next year will be even a better and more exciting year. Hopefully, Chris, you'll be around more often next year with us.
Sure, I'd love to do it. It's always fun getting to chat with you guys about some of the cool tech news.
Yeah, it was great.
I do have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
In regards to some things.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
think that the release of new phones is going to slow down, such as, you know, Samsung phones and the iPhone? Are we going to move from this once a year cycle to maybe a 2-year cycle or 3-year cycle?
I don't think so because there's too much money in it. I do think they will slow down on innovation. We're not going to get like this brand new great
Well, we've
phone
already
every 2
seen
years.
the slowdown in innovation. I mean,
I
you
think that's gonna
look at the
continue.
last 2 or 3 generations of the iPhone, and really what we've seen between those changes.
Yeah, I think that's what I see slowing down or continuing to stay the way, you know, in this slowdown process. But I do not think that we are going to see a slower release cycle because there's money in it. You know, people need cell phones all the time, and these companies want to make more and more revenue every single year. So why not release one little bug fix or one little feature that people ask for and release a new phone? Chris?
You're gonna see more like the Apple model we've seen the past few years, which is every 2 years the major model comes out, and then in between is an iterative update. And I think Samsung's going to have to do that because if they try and push the envelope like they did again and have another round of exploding phones, they're done.
Oh, another round of exploding phones.
I mean, I would
Samsung
love to
with
get
the
to play
all-new.
that bump all the time.
With the all-new exploding phone.
I think these days a lot of people are trying to rush products out that are being too rushed.
Yeah.
Well, it's a
I
trend
mean,
everywhere,
look at the
sadly.
AirPods.
The earpods, yeah,
Apple's
and they
AirPods
were not
were
able
delayed
to
like
release
2
them.
months.
By the way, they were released and people love them apparently.
Yeah, but they were supposed to be out earlier. Much
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah. Very, very cool, guys. It was a wonderful year. I loved having you guys here. Suncast, where can people find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Suncast. That is spelled with a K and not a C.
K with a K and not a C. And of course, Chris, Gonna Geek
You can-
Network. Where
That's right,
what you're doing like 10,000 things.
Way too many things, but you can find all the awesome stuff we're doing over at gonnageek.com. And please feel free to follow me on Twitter at the Chris Farrell.
Very, very cool. Guys, go to our website, gfknetwork.com. Subscribe to the podcast, and we will see you all in 2017. Bye-bye.